It was a crisp morning in the coastal town of Palmetto Bay, where the azure waters of the Atlantic Ocean gently lapped against the shore. 26-year-old Benjamin Joe, a novice scuba diver with an insatiable thirst for adventure, had been eagerly waiting for this day. He had signed up for a full-day scuba diving lesson, eager to explore the mesmerizing world beneath the waves and the blue water. However, as fate would have it, his scuba instructor was absent that day due to some reasons, leaving Benjamin to embark on this underwater journey on his own. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Benjamin decided to take matters into his own hands. Filled with curiosity and determination, he geared up in his wetsuit, tank, and diving mask and made his way to the dive spot. He couldn't suppress the excitement that coursed through his veins as he stepped onto the boat and prepared to descend into the ocean depths. The location was Teman Coast, a charming coastal town known for its crystal-clear waters and diverse marine life. It was the year 2002, and the setting was an open stretch of ocean that seemed to go on forever. Before Benjamin took the plunge, he gazed out at the horizon, considering the ocean's rich history and the stories it held beneath its waves. Benjamin was on a solo mission, a daring descent to explore the depths that remained uncharted for him. As Benjamin descended into the deep blue, the water around him transformed into an enchanting world of vibrant coral reefs and darting schools of fish. It was a serene and surreal experience, his heartbeat echoing in his ears as he ventured further into the unknown. However, the tranquility was abruptly shattered when a black, shadowy figure emerged from the blue abyss. It was a massive shark, a ruthless predator of the sea, making its way towards Benjamin. Panic gripped his heart as he watched the powerful creature approach, its cold, predatory eyes locking onto him. Without any delay, the shark lunged at Benjamin, its massive jaws snapping shut just inches from his flippers. Benjamin could feel the surge of water and the sheer force of the predator's movement as he barely managed to evade its ferocious bite. His heart pounded in his chest, and he could taste the salt water in his mouth, a bitter reminder of the peril he faced. The conflict was set. Benjamin's goal was changed from enjoying to struggle for survival. He had to escape from the relentless predator stalking him. With each passing moment, the suspense intensified as Benjamin tried to outmaneuver the shark, his heart racing in his chest as the shark circled its prey. Again, the shark lunged, this time brushing against Benjamin's leg, leaving behind a sharp sting and the sensation of his skin being grazed by rough sandpaper. It was a harrowing moment as he kicked with all his might, narrowly avoiding becoming the shark's next meal. As the battle raged on, the salt water stung Benjamin's eyes, blurring his vision. His heart, now a wild drumbeat, throbbed in his ears as adrenaline coursed through his veins, heightening his senses to a razor's edge. The underwater drama unfolded as Benjamin fought to regain control over the situation. He frantically adjusted his buoyancy, using his fins to stay afloat. With every ounce of courage, he looked the shark in the eye, hoping that his calm demeanor would convince the predator to seek easier prey. But the relentless predator wasn't finished. With a final thunderous lunge, the shark made a desperate bid to snatch Benjamin's tank, its razor-sharp teeth clamping down into his flesh. Benjamin's world spun into chaos. Pain like a searing hot iron radiated from the wound. He felt the shark's teeth tearing into his flesh, and his vision blurred further. The salt water filled his mask with tears of pain and desperation. In the midst of agony, Benjamin kicked and fought with all his remaining strength, finally breaking free from the shark's clutches. Blood clouded the water, mingling with the turquoise depths as he ascended, gasping for breath and clutching the wound on his side. As minutes turned into what felt like hours, Benjamin's determination wavered, and he wondered if he would ever emerge from this perilous situation unscathed. But he refused to give in to fear, as the will to survive still burned brightly within him. The climax of the story reached its peak when the shark finally relented and disappeared into the deep, giving Benjamin a second chance to live and leaving him to catch his breath and ascend to the surface. Gasping for air, he broke through the water's surface and climbed back onto the boat, safe but badly injured and shaken by the harrowing experience. At last, Benjamin had managed to escape the relentless predator's clutches, accomplishing his mission to survive the terrifying shark encounter. As he looked out at the vast expanse of the ocean, he couldn't help but reflect on how this experience had changed him. It left a lasting mark on his psyche, instilling in him a newfound respect for the majestic and unforgiving nature of the sea. In the year 2017, on a clear afternoon along the coast of Miami, Florida, the Miami Coast Guard headquarters received a distress call that shattered the serenity of the sunny day. The voice on the other end was trembling with fear, a desperate plea for help from a sinking vessel, adrift in the enigmatic waters of the Atlantic. Maxwell Gold, a 33-year-old rescue team leader, was immediately dispatched to lead a response team. Known for his courage and unshakable commitment to saving lives, Maxwell was joined by Sarah, a skilled oceanographer, and Mark, a fearless underwater diver. Their mission was twofold: to respond to the distress call and uncover the mystery behind the sinking ship. As they raced to the coordinates aboard their trusty vessel, the Salvation, the legends of mysterious happenings in this part of the Atlantic Ocean filled their thoughts. Stories of vanished vessels and unexplained phenomena had given the area a reputation that sent shivers down their spines. But duty called, and they were ready for the challenges that lay ahead. The distress call had been precise. A vessel was going down, and its crew was in dire need of assistance. The coordinates led them to a desolate expanse of the ocean, where the sun cast long shadows on the water's surface. The salty sea breeze carried a hint of foreboding as it whipped through their hair. As the vessel came into view, the scene that unfolded before them was chilling. The sinking ship listed precariously, its battered hull looming ominously above the restless waves. The sea around it churned with an unnatural turbulence, and the groaning of the ship sounded like a mournful cry. The crew of the Salvation exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that they were venturing into a part of the ocean known for inexplicable occurrences. They could almost taste the salt in the air, and the heaviness of the moment clung to their senses. As the Salvation approached the distressed vessel, Maxwell, driven by an unwavering sense of duty, leaped from the rescue boat onto the sinking ship's deck. The harsh creaking of the ship's structure beneath his boots reverberated in his ears. His heart raced as he shouted instructions to the crew, urging them to prepare for a swift evacuation. It was in those critical moments that the monstrous predator, an enormous great white shark, rose from the depths with stunning speed. The splash as it broke the surface sent icy droplets into the air, and the sunlight danced upon its sleek gray skin. Maxwell's senses sharpened in the face of imminent danger. The pungent odor of salt water mingled with the metallic tang of fear-induced sweat. His heart hammered in his chest and his breaths came fast, like whispers of impending doom. The shrill cries of seagulls overhead added an eerie soundtrack to the unfolding drama. The terror of the situation unfolded in slow motion. Maxwell was caught between the shark and the edge of the sinking ship, his right leg vulnerable. In a lightning-fast strike, the great white shark lunged out of the water, its jaws snapping shut around Maxwell's right leg with a force that defied description. The impact was a symphony of sensations. A searing, white-hot pain, a deafening explosion of splashing water, and the crushing pressure of the shark's jaws. Maxwell's screams were a cacophony of agony that pierced the air. The immense pressure of the shark's bite shattered bone and tore through flesh, leaving an unmistakable and gruesome mark. The sea around him churned with crimson as the water seemed to darken with the intensity of the struggle. Maxwell's screams were joined by the panicked shouts of his team, who desperately tried to reach him as he was lifted off his feet and pulled into the water, his legs still trapped in the shark's jaws. The salt water engulfed him, its briny taste mingling with the metallic tang of blood. It was in the midst of this chaos that Maxwell's resilience and unwavering determination shone. The sea closed around him, and the sounds of his struggle were muffled beneath the surface. His hands scrabbled desperately at the shark's eye, and his fingers registered the cold, glassy orb that marked his hope for survival. With the limited air in his lungs, he fought back against the powerful predator, using every ounce of his strength to pry open the great white's massive jaws and free himself. The taste of salt water, coppery with blood, filled his mouth as he gasped for precious air. As he surfaced, Maxwell's vision blurred with pain, and the world around him seemed surreal. The stark contrast of blue sky against the churning waves, the cries of gulls, and the sounds of his team's frantic efforts created a sensory maelstrom. Maxwell's gasping breaths were ragged, and he felt the raw, throbbing agony in his maimed leg. The sea around him swirled with a chaotic mix of emotions: relief, terror, and determination. He had emerged from the abyssal encounter, battered but alive. As they pulled Maxwell from the water, the rescue team worked frantically to stabilize him and control the bleeding. The battle with the great white shark had taken its toll, but they had one more life to save, a survivor still clinging to a piece of debris. The rescue boat, battered and bruised but still afloat, slowly regrouped. The confrontation with the abyssal terror had exacted a heavy price, and their journey back to Miami was marked by a profound and eerie silence. In the small coastal town of Atlantic, nestled on the rugged cliffs of the Pacific coastline, there lived a passionate fisherman named Samuel Anderson. It was the summer of 2008, and 37-year-old Samuel had been eagerly awaiting this year's fishing season. He had heard tales of the legendary fish that roamed these waters, but nothing could prepare him for the terrifying encounter that lay ahead. The history of Atlantic, a charming fishing community, was steeped in maritime tradition. For generations, the town's livelihood had been intertwined with the vast, unpredictable sea. In 1948, the town was established as a thriving hub for whaling, with families relying on the bounty of the ocean to sustain them. As the waves crashed against the rocky shoreline, Samuel prepared his boat for a day of fishing, hoping to make a big catch to impress his fellow fishermen. The scent of salt and seaweed filled the air, and the briny mist clung to his skin. He had already spent countless hours studying the habits of the creatures of the deep, their behaviors and migration patterns. Samuel was determined to outdo even the most seasoned fishermen. Samuel's goal for the day was clear. He aimed to catch a great white shark. This legendary creature was rarely encountered and known to be the apex predator of the sea. His resolution was to prove himself as one of the greatest fishermen in the town. As Samuel ventured further from the shore, he could feel the excitement building within him. The boat rocked gently with the rhythm of the ocean, and the warm, golden rays of the afternoon sun bathed him in a soothing light. The gentle lapping of the waves against the hull was a comforting backdrop to his thoughts. He knew the risks of hunting such a formidable creature, but the thrill of the chase drove him forward. Every sound was magnified in the quiet of the open sea: the creaking of the boat, the distant cries of seagulls, and the rhythmic lapping of the waves. The scent of the sea was thick in the air, a blend of brine and seaweed, both inviting and foreboding. Samuel felt the line pull with a force that sent tremors through his entire body. He had been out in the sea for hours, engaged in a daring fishing expedition to capture a prized specimen of marine life. The fight with the great white shark was an intense struggle, and Samuel's senses were on overdrive. As he wrestled with the powerful creature, the line suddenly went taut, pulling him off balance. The shark, in a desperate surge, yanked Samuel off the boat's deck and into the churning water. The sea swallowed him whole, and he was submerged in an instant. Gasping for air, Samuel knew he was now in an even more perilous battle against the great white shark. The sea had become a treacherous arena of life and death, and he was determined to emerge victorious despite the harrowing turn of events. The climax of the fight was an assault on all his senses. The great white shark lunged and, in a horrifying moment, clamped its jaws onto Samuel's leg. The sensation of those razor-sharp teeth sinking into his flesh was excruciating, and the metallic taste of blood filled his mouth. His screams were a symphony of pain and fear, echoing across the vast expanse of the sea. With every ounce of his strength, Samuel fought to free himself. The shark's grip was like a vice, crushing bone and tearing flesh. He could feel the pressure, the pain, and the overwhelming panic as he struggled to break free. At last, it was his quick thinking that saved him. With a surge of adrenaline, Samuel reached for a nearby harpoon and thrust it into the shark's eye, causing the beast to release its grip on his leg. With newfound resolve, Samuel managed to swim to the surface, gasping for air. With a final burst of effort, he managed to reach the side of the boat. His trembling hands grasped at the edge, and with an almost desperate pull, he hauled himself over the gunwale and back on board. The relief was palpable as he collapsed onto the deck, panting and drenched in seawater. Wincing in pain, Samuel turned his attention to his mangled leg. The blood was still flowing, and the wound was a gruesome sight. But he knew he had to act quickly. With trembling hands, he rummaged through the boat's supplies and found a first aid kit. He carefully cleaned the wound as best he could, using the limited resources available. With determination, he managed to fashion a makeshift bandage to stem the bleeding. Despite the excruciating pain, Samuel's hands were surprisingly steady as he tended to his injury. He knew that his survival depended on his ability to treat the wound and summon the strength to navigate the boat back to safety. So this incident left Samuel physically scarred, but it had also left an indelible mark on his soul. Although he had not accomplished his mission of capturing the great white shark, the experience had given him a newfound respect for the untamed power of the sea. The encounter had taught him that nature could never truly be conquered, only admired and respected. At last, Samuel reached the town blooded and badly injured. The town of Atlantic Ocеan remained captivated by Samuel's tale. His harrowing encounter with the great white shark was a testament to the enduring power of nature, the resilience of the human spirit, and the boundless mysteries of the sea. In the year 1989, deep within the heart of the vast and treacherous Atlantic Ocean, an offshore oil rig known as the Neptune's Haven endured the relentless assault of towering waves. On this chilling night, a crew of dedicated engineers and laborers toiled ceaselessly to safeguard the rig, and among them was Lucas Mitchell, a 30-year-old petrochemical engineer. Lucas possessed a deep and abiding passion for his work, fully understanding the weighty responsibility of his role as a safety engineer. The rig stood as a solitary beacon of human ingenuity amid the boundless ocean, and the desolate expanse of the Atlantic served as a stark reminder of nature's immense power. Located a daunting 200 miles off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, the rig existed as a remote and strategic hub for oil extraction. Lucas's task was to ensure the rig's continued safety, and it was on this fateful night that he would confront a nightmarish terror from the abyss that would alter the course of his life forever. As Lucas descended into the inky depths of the ocean, an unsettling sensation washed over him. The underwater world was a haunting abyss, shrouded in an oppressive darkness that concealed the mysteries within. It was the year 1989, and technology had not yet bestowed the luxury of advanced underwater exploration tools. Lucas was armed only with a flashlight, his years of experience, and an unyielding sense of duty. The underwater support structures of the rig extended like skeletal appendages into the abyss, a surreal and ghostly network of metal and concrete. Lucas's flashlight pierced the murk, revealing a world of eerie beauty. An array of sea creatures in all their peculiar shapes and sizes glided through the frigid depths, casting eerie shadows. Lucas meticulously inspected the rusted beams and concrete pillars that maintained the rig's stability. The oppressive water pressure at these depths was a constant reminder of the ocean's colossal power, a suffocating force that pressed in from all sides. Hours passed, and Lucas's focus remained unbroken. Suddenly, a shadowy figure darted past him, a malevolent streak that moved quicker than his flashlight's beam could follow. Startled and horrified, he scanned the pitch-black darkness, trying to make sense of the macabre movement. It was in this unsettling moment that he was horrifically aware he was not alone. As Lucas continued his inspection, he felt a subtle yet unmistakable presence. An ancient and malevolent force, a predator of unimaginable proportions, circled him with an unsettling grace. It was a colossal shark, a monstrous and grotesque specter from the depths. A palpable sense of dread washed over Lucas as he met the apex predator of the ocean, now the unrelenting harbinger of his doom. The first encounter with this unforgiving beast was a chilling dance with death. Lucas's flashlight illuminated the abyssal eyes of the creature, sending shivers down his spine. The shark's presence was malevolent, an incarnate force of primordial terror. It became evident that he was but an intruder in the predator's domain, a vulnerable interloper in the uncharted heart of darkness. The predator circled him with a predatory grace that reeked of malevolence. Each fluid movement was deliberate, a choreography of death executed with brutal precision. The underwater support structures, once familiar, now seemed like insurmountable obstacles against the impending abyss. The conflict was stark and irrefutable, Lucas had to elude the voracious maw of the shark. Panic threatened to engulf him, but the years of training and experience granted him a semblance of control. With bated breath and sweat-soaked determination, he initiated his arduous ascent towards the surface, never letting the shark's ominous presence slip from his gaze. However, as Lucas reached the ladder leading to salvation, the shark lunged with horrifying speed, its gaping jaws snapping shut on his leg with unimaginable ferocity. Agonizing pain seared through his body, his anguished screams resonating through the water. The shark's razor-sharp teeth gouged into his flesh as Lucas floundered in a grotesque ballet of death. In the agony of the moment, Lucas's survival instincts were thrust into overdrive. He kicked out with the ferocity born of desperation, landing a barrage of blows on the shark's snout. His world was a nightmarish blur of terror and excruciating pain as he grappled with the monstrous Leviathan. Miraculously, the predator was momentarily stunned by the unexpected resistance. It relented, releasing its grip on Lucas's leg, which was now a pulpy mass of blood and flesh. With a final surge of adrenaline and a desperate scramble upward, Lucas seized the ladder to safety just as the shark retreated, defeated but not vanquished. Gasping for air, he hauled himself onto the rig, his body broken and bleeding, his leg a grotesque tableau of pain. The shark, defeated and wounded, circled below, a silent testament to the unrelenting and unforgiving nature of the abyss. Lucas had survived, but his body bore the scars, both visible and hidden, as a permanent testament to the unyielding power of the ocean's abyss. The conflict had been resolved, but the cost was immeasurable. Lucas returned to life on the rig, forever marked by the harrowing ordeal.